Good afternoon, good evening, Harlem and Harlems of the world. I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. Harlem Network News is a media platform, and we are here to assure that Harlem and the Harlems of the world are informed, engaged, and called to action. And that is more important than anything at such a time as this. Often, mainstream media does not cover our stories, or if they do, it's skewed. So we really stand with intention here in terms of just everything. So please, as our collaborators, Roland Martin, bring your eyeballs here so that you can see what we're doing, so you can support us, so we can get the advertising. Subscribe to our YouTube channels and just reach out. And if you have news and information, bring it to us because we will report it. I am here today with a very, very, very special guest, and it is in the person of student minister Arthur Muhammad from Mosque number 7, right here in Harlem. And I'm going to just let Minister Arthur speak for himself to share a little bit about his background and also about the Mosque number 7, just a bit about the history. I know I'm looking at the picture behind him, which is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we are very, very, very honored and humbled to have you here to just share and get the word out because, the mosque represents a lot in our community. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Minister Arthur. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I'm very honored to be on your show, Sister Terry. I respect you and the works that you do, not only in your media, but what you do in education with young people. I am student minister Arthur Muhammad, born and raised in Mount Vernon, New York, but my connection to Harlem started as a young boy. My auntie lived on 140th Street, the same street that the late great Big L lived on.
All right.
My mother went to Julia Richmond High School,
Oh, okay. My mother went to Julia Richmond High School too.
right?
Okay.
I have a sister that lives right on 137th and an uncle that lives on Frederick Douglass. So as a young boy coming from Mount Vernon, frequent trips to Harlem was made throughout the year to be with my family. When I joined the Nation of Islam, I began to come to Harlem 4, 5, 6 times a week because when I joined the Nation of Islam, I was like, man, I'm not working for the white man. And guess what? I was a vendor on 125th Street. I
Okay.
used to own a booth in the story Mart 125
Okay. Yes.
in
Yes.
the
Yes.
heyday of the
Yes.
90s. I,
Yes.
I used to actually work at Bell's Fashion doing security, which was right next to the Baskin Robbins
Okay.
and was there when Giuliani moved on the vendors in 1994, and we shut down Harlem, 125th Street for 2 days. That's another story for another
Yes.
time. But I
Now, very, very important as we say these things because these are iconic spaces in our community. And the Mart 125 is really across from the Apollo Theater. And it has lied dormant, vacant for almost 25 years plus. It was thriving. It was our businesses. I know at that time, my children and I, all of our holiday shopping or just shopping for birthday gifts. We did it there. So we've got to bring that back and we've got to own it. So thank you for saying that. And Harlem Network News, we are Harlem and Harlems of the world. And Harlems of the world is where we are. Okay. It could be in Lagos, Nigeria. That's Harlem too. So they,
That's right.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
I joined the Nation of Islam in 1988. Prior to that, I was a member of the Zulu Nation. I was a rapper involved heavily in hip hop and community organizing. But I began to listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I listened to him like Biggie Small says, I used to let the tape rock to the tape pop.
Okay.
And it got to the point where there was no Muslims in the Nation of Islam in Mount Vernon. So I went to Chicago. I wanted to see Minister Farrakhan for myself. And when
Okay.
I went there in Savior's Day, 1988, they said, listen, you got to go to your local mosque, and that's in Harlem. So
Okay.
the very next week, I came in and I heard a young brother, Abdul Hafiz Muhammad, teaching.
Yes.
At
Yes.
that
Yes.
time, his name was Kevin X. He
Yes,
was
Brother Kevin.
joined
We know Brother
in
Kevin. Yes.
1988. Yes,
All
man.
right. Okay.
And this has been 38 years. And in that time, I have served in very different capacities, from squad leader to orientation instructor to drill instructor. You know, the brothers do the military drill. I was part
Yes.
of the
Yes.
training, the
Yes.
martial arts. And then I embraced in the ministry officially in 1997. And I helped Brother Minister Hafiz for over 20 years in the ministry.
And may he rest in power
May
and
he rest
peace.
in peace
We
and
know
do.
that during COVID, he is one of our king soldier that, you know, transitioned during that time. And he was very impactful and effective in the community. And we worked with him, you know, for many, many, from Million Man March to the next march that they had right here in New York City. So we work with him closely.
Yes, man, and due to his untimely return to Allah, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked would I hold things down in New York. So I thought it would be for a temporary period of time, but we began to make so much progress in the mosque during COVID and post-COVID that, he named me the minister of the mosque as well as the Eastern Regional Minister of the whole entire Eastern region. So I'm very honored. We're located on 127th Street in Harlem, right off of Lenox Avenue, which we got renamed a couple of years ago, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad Way. And let me
Okay.
just say this about Mosque number
Another
7.
record. Yes.
Mosque number 7 is a historic, storied institution from when we were on 116th Street, which is now the home of Masjid Malcolm Shabazz. But for many years, it was Mosque number 7. You know, of
Okay.
course, that Malcolm X was the minister there. And then when he left the Nation of Islam, Minister Farrakhan became the minister. And when Minister Farrakhan was the minister, Harlem was the base, but there were 18 other mosques, mosque number 7A, 7B, 7B, all
Okay.
the way to
Wow.
R. They were
Wow.
spread all
Okay.
across the city.
Okay.
And
My God.
so now, currently, we have 5 operations. We're in Harlem, we're in Queens, on Linden Boulevard, Merrick Boulevard,
Okay.
we're in
I'm a Queens person, so
Yes, man. We're in the Bronx. We're, of course, here in Harlem, and we're in Hackensack, New Jersey, and we're looking to open up our 6th place by the fall. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked me to eclipse his work. So once we get to 6, we're 1/3 of the way. But
okay.
the Nation of Islam's work is indelible in the Harlem community and the spread of Islam. So you have a lot of immigrant Muslims that come here from other countries, some in the Middle East, some in Africa. It is easy for them to express their Islam and have their Islam accepted because of the work of the pioneering Muslims that was rocking and rolling here in New York City in the 50s, 60s, and
Yeah,
70s.
it's not a foreign thing. So that's a powerful thing. And I appreciate you. I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and I am here, if you just joined, with the Honorable Student Minister Arthur Muhammad of Mosque number 7, right here in Harlem, that is right on 127th Street. And yeah, so we just want everybody to know, because one of the things that we feel responsible for is to inform, engage, the people and call the people to action. And especially at a time where they're trying to take books away, erase our history, erase our culture, the things that we're saying as background are very important. And
One other thing, if I may, we have
absolutely,
a school. We have a school. It's called Muhammad University of Islam. As many of you know, it was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad who was the first one to start an independent school system.
mhm.
And under Minister Farrakhan, we have over 40 schools, independent schools in New York City, I mean, in the United States,
Wow.
and Muhammad University of Islam. So we educate right here from
Okay.
kindergarten to 12th grade. And so I
Okay.
will make
So
sure the
this
next
is
time
so the
we
students are coming to the school, Muhammad
absolutely,
University, and getting their normal degrees and credentials and
absolutely,
like from any other private school. So that's a very
absolutely.
powerful thing. And approximately how many students do you have
We
there
have about
right
50 students.
now? Okay, excellent.
And half are in person, half are hybrid. So we have students from around the state, around the country who
Wow.
tune in online, and they have what we call a hybrid learning experience, and
Okay.
they are getting high level education. And I think we're in the 98th percentile of our 12th graders that go on to college.
Okay, so that's a very powerful thing. And point of information, make note of that, Harlem and Harlems of the world. Make note of that in terms of the alternative education. Well, one of the things that I want to mention before we get too far into the conversation, because we were so honored to have you on, where I'm the co-host on WBAI with Isaac Ferguson. The show What's Going On. We air every Tuesday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. and it's live. And we have had, and we've been doing a series on gun violence. We're up to number 25 on our series. I encourage everybody to tune in. We have had all of three of our district attorneys. This past week, we had the Bronx DA, Darcel Clark, and Minister Arthur has been on with us two different times. So this is June, and this is National Gun Awareness Month. Uh, Friday, this past Friday, it was National Gun Awareness Day. There was a vigil and a gathering out in Queens at the Roy Wilkins Park, where the young brother, may he rest in peace and power, Jaden, was shot and killed, while several youth videoed the situation. They did get the shooter, but this is a horrific tragedy, as all gun violence is, as all violence is. But there was a vigil, the color was orange. There were also mothers that walked across the Brooklyn Bridge, gathering at Cadman Plaza. And this is to really just take a stand. I myself, this is personal for me, this work. My son was shot and killed on November 5th, 2021, on the Shinnecock Reservation in Southampton. The case remains cold and unsolved, like many of the cases of people of color. So I take this pain and I turn it into purpose. And I will say on the air, we know that everywhere, including on the reservation, in a lot of our communities, snitches get stitches. But I know that people know who shot and killed my son. So you need to come forth. You know, you can call, you can reach me, because I'm not going to rest. It's personal for me, but it's also, if there's a shooter out there, then someone else is in danger. So that's what I have to say. I'm also a member of Harlem Mothers and Fathers Saved, which Sister Jackie Rowe Adams started because she lost two sons to gun violence. And public officials, the Honorable Keith Wright, and he just, I know, lost his wife, and a Assemblyperson Jordan Wright, his mother. So I just want to say a moment for her to rest in peace and power, because she did the work to support her husband, support herself, and be a very viable, her son in his campaign, and a very viable member of the Harlem community. But it was Keith Wright that helped to start Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save, when Jackie and other mothers came crying, like saying, we got to do something. And it's gone on 20 years. We just had the 20-year anniversary in the gala. And the building that they have, which is showing how we all can work collaboratively with the offices of Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save, under the leadership of the Honorable Inez Dickens when she was councilperson at Hampton. So this is a front and center, and we need to have all eyes on this. And nobody's coming to save us but ourselves. So we have to really stand up. We have to fight back. And we have also interviewed, with this gun violence situation, the head of Howard University Hospital, and also one of the head of emergency in Kings County, Dr. Gore. And both of them have concurred that they're in heavy gun violence areas. And they declared that this is a public health crisis. Dr. Gore actually has an organization that really to prevent gun violence. It's called CAVI, because they're saying that when folks come into the hospital, basically, and they're shot, they know revenge is happening or going to come soon after. So they try to prevent that. They counsel, they work with the person who is shot. So it's a public health crisis. But the final thing I want to say is that within the Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save, when I joined, and that happened because I interviewed Jackie Rowe Adams 2 weeks after my son was shot and killed on this show on a Sunday. It was kind of still the tail of COVID. And so we were live on Sundays, every Sunday at 4 o'clock. And Jackie said, well, come to the meeting. It's tomorrow, because it's the first Monday of every month. And that's how I got involved. But when I went there, it was 6 people that I knew. Somebody even called when they saw the show, and she's one of the sisters from the other mosque that you spoke about. And she was like, well, my son was shot and killed. So if I know 6 people personally, and then in working in other organizations, there's about 3 other people that I know whose son was shot and killed, that tells you what the percentages are for our community in terms of the gun violence. So that's my thing in terms of speaking about it, but it's a public health crisis and we have to address it. And Minister Arthur, if you would speak a little bit, because I know that you have done some work in this area with SNUG and so on and so forth. So if you would just speak a little about the work that you've done, and also the work, because I know I had the honor to be at the mosque, I think it was 2 Sundays ago, when the assistant minister, Minister Ishmael Muhammad, was
Yes.
speaking. And that was a historic day, because our city council person for our Harlem district, Dr. Councilman Yusef Salam, who is Muslim, but joined the mosque that day. So that was a powerful thing. And it shows how powerful it is, because I put up a little stand up outside the mosque on that day. And in Instagram, quote, I had like 3,000 views. That's some of the highest views I've ever had, but it showed you the power. And I didn't even show anything inside. I just said it was out standing outside. So that was a very powerful and significant day. But I know that when I was there was talk of the mosque really getting out in the streets. So if you would just share a bit about your connection to the gun violence, and what some of the things that you're looking at in terms of getting out in these streets to stop the violence. Thank you.
Well, thank you. as a matter of professional background, I'm the former director of the SNUG program that we had in Mount Vernon. SNUG, of course, being guns spelled backwards. And it came from the Chicago Cure Violence Initiative, which really are the leaders in hiring people who are formerly incarcerated, formerly in street organizations, to go back into the community and be credible messengers. And so this cure violence movement is spearheaded with trying to stop the retaliatory shootings that occur when one side is murdered, and then the clapback is coming, and the brothers from Snug would try to intervene, and they would do some great case management work where they attempt to get brothers wraparound services, jobs, education, teach them interview skills, and it goes on. So we have, of course, Brother A.T. Mitchell in Brooklyn. We have Sister Erica Ford in Harlem. We have
Yes,
Sister Aisha Sekou here in Harlem, and they're doing a wonderful job. But I'll say this with loving respect. The
absolutely.
Nation of Islam was the first cure violence movement ever from the 60s, the 70s, helping people get off of drugs. There were a lot of violence that resulted from the heroin usage in Harlem. Of course, in the 80s, crack, cleaning up corners, trying to make our neighborhoods decent and safe. And so that's the thing that attracted me to the Nation of Islam, the proactiveness of the brothers of the Fruit of Islam. And so, you
And
know,
the transformation of many, the
absolutely.
transformation,
That part, and
powerful.
that's what we offer. We offer transformation through spiritual awakening. And as we talk about this gun violence, and you heard me mention this on your show on WBAI, and
Yes,
please give Brother Isaac my
I
love
will.
and greeting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Thank
we
you.
have a spiritual problem, and a spiritual problem necessitates a spiritual solution. See, it's Gun Awareness Week because what's our sister Hadiah Pendleton
Mhm.
out of Chicago was murdered. I think it was in 2015,
Mm.
and her mom and others turned that pain to purpose, that pain into a campaign. But with the way our hearts are turned towards each other, if there were no guns, it would be knives. If there were no knives, it would be billy clubs. See, so what happens is when larceny is in the heart towards your brother or towards your sister, you will get anything that is available to you to intimidate them, to snuff their life out, to attack them, and to harm them. And so in the Nation of Islam, when you join, we are taught day one, if you have any weapons, throw them away. Don't rely on your weapons. So whenever there is disagreement in the mosque or disagreement in our homes, we don't have that option, right? Of you picking up something. As men, we don't hit our wives. I've been married for 32 years in August, and I've never put my hand on my wife ever because
Yes.
it's not
Thank you
an
for
option.
mentioning the domestic violence aspect of it because that's big. And we've, also interviewed like Stephanie Warm, and we're looking to interview others because that's an aspect. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, and as I shared, there are more domestic violence responses from the police than there are gang violence.
Mm.
The problem with guns in the hands of young people, we know that the brain is not developed fully
Mhm.
until they are way high into their 20s, almost 30 years old. We know
Say
that
25, but it's probably creeping towards 30, like you said.
right. Thank you. We know that testosterone is very high amongst young people, and sometimes testosterone gets confused with libido. libido is the sex drive, but testosterone is the chemical that is the response for man to dominate. So
Okay.
when man feels challenged, when man feels punked, when man feels dissed or feels like he's in the corner, the testosterone, this surge of chemical to show that I'm dominant, to show that I'm superior, comes up, and there's no greater equalizer than the effect of a gun.
Mm,
So you have the undeveloped brain, the surge of testosterone. You have what we call the spiritual or like intellectual immaturity,
mhm,
right? So you're dealing with people who are emotionally high strung. And then when you add to that, you have people who are not connected to God and not connected to their history. It's prevalent amongst Black people. If I may, when you look at the word Black, the first thing you think of is hue, shade, and color. But black is more than hue, shade, and color. Black is color, but it's also culture, it's also consciousness, and it's also the corresponding connection to our creator. So when you have a people who are disconnected from their culture, disconnected from Black consciousness, and disconnected from their innate corresponding connection to the Creator, you have a people who don't know themselves, therefore, they act other than themselves. So
absolutely.
if you take the gun away, but you don't replace it with spirituality, knowledge of self, morals, and ethics, they're going to find a way to get at each other's throats anyway. So when you go into prison, right, they make shanks, right? Because there are no physical guns. So
Mm,
the stabbing rate in jail is high. And when there are no shanks available, they'll put something in a sock, right? Or they'll just use their arms. So the
whatever.
problem is spiritual, but the spiritual problem is manifested through gunplay. So if we as a community can agree that guns should not be used in our community, but again, it's almost hypocritical because we see the government,
Yeah, the macro. Mhm,
right, not only under this president,
mhm.
but if we remember under President Obama, he
Absolutely.
killed, he sanctioned the killing of the African president Muammar Gaddafi. He went to another country,
Mhm.
killed their president, and
Yes.
caused a destabilization. If you remember, he killed Iraq's leader and their two sons,
Ye-
right?
Yes.
And not because Iraq had anything to do with 9/11, it was a lie. So,
Mhm.
you look what's happening in Venezuela. They took the president and his wife,
Thank
right?
you. Take notes, everybody that's listening to Harlem Network News, because this is history, and Brother Minister Arthur is dropping knowledge, as we say. Thank you.
They are threatening to take Greenland because it offers them a geopolitical a presence that they need. They want to take Cuba. You saw what they did. They arrested her. So I'm saying is that we're seeing thuggery on
Absolutely.
the highest level. It's
Mhm.
almost difficult for us to condemn the thuggery on our level when we don't speak up and see it on the highest level. So it's an extension. And then, Sister Terry,
Yeah, we're living in a very hypocritical society. And just to interject, as far as New York goes, I don't know about Chicago because it's very interesting because Chicago has had a high rate of crime and murder. So it's very interesting that Minister Farrakhan is there. and how are we as a people, as a nation, dealing with it. But most of these places, particularly for New York City, I don't know exactly about Chicago, but guns are not manufactured here. You can't buy a gun in New York State. So all of these guns are really being piped in. You've also had the ghost guns that people are making, on their computers. So I mean, it's a thing. But I love the fact that you're speaking about the spirituality of it, because it's very interesting. When Jaden Pierre was shot and killed about a month ago, they had a big rally, and our former chancellor David Banks was out there, and he spoke, and it was just a very like powerful speech, because the main thing, he was also one of the founders of Eagle Academy, and this young man went to Eagle Academy, the old male school. But what he kept saying is, this is a spiritual thing. People have to go to church or whatever, mosque or whatever. It's a spiritual thing. So it's just interesting, and the truth that this is what you have come to, that a lot of this has been lost. And of course, we've got to look at the disparities that Black and Brown people have experienced in this country. And then, of course, coming across the water to the Mayafa, even though it's, over 400 years ago, that is still in our gene pool, that we have experienced this, that we have lost our language, our culture, don't know, who some of our ancestors are. And even if we look at books like, you know, that Francis Cress Welsing has written about the ISIS papers, and speaking about melanin, because melanin is more than the color, it's impactful. And we tend to think in a more holistic way because of it. That's why we love colors. We're not just gray, black. There's a lot of factoids that come into, but the disparities and the need for reparations for the people here, but consciousness needs to go with that. But reparations, there's hearings all over the state, but this is not a new thing. The
No,
Jewish.
if I could jump in,
Yes,
uh,
please.
first I want there are 2 points. You dropped so many jewels and was pricking my consciousness.
Okay, let's go.
I want you to understand that we're living in a culture of violence,
Mhm.
right? And the
Yes.
word culture is defined as the shared set of beliefs, values, customs, behaviors, artifacts that characterize a group or society. We are in a culture of violence. We know that when we go out the street, we got to tuck in our chain. Why? We're in the culture of violence. We know that if we have a large sum of money, you got to put it in your sock, put it in your shoe. Why? Because we're living in a culture of violence. We know that women are scared to go in their elevator by themselves. We know that we are scared to send our children to the corner store. We know that our elders are scared to go to the store after because we're in a culture of violence. We have accepted that this is the sad reality. Now, cultures, when you try to change cultures, cultures are difficult to change because they are embedded in the thought process. So when you have, the scripture that says we are born in sin and shaped in iniquity, this current generation of young people are shaped in the culture of violence. Therefore, they say to themselves, when I get 12, when I get 13, I'm going to get a gun. Not that I want to kill somebody, but I know that I live in this culture of violence and I gotta have some backup because I'm not a member of a gang, or maybe I am. But I want to be able, if I'm intimidated, if I'm disrespected, if you don't respect me, you're gonna respect this gun.
Absolutely.
So that is the challenge that we, the elders, have we have to change the culture. Now, it's not the elders that are killing each other. The
Yeah, for the most part,
proliferation
that's
of
not
the
what.
killing is coming from 16 to 35. That's who's doing the killing. But if the elders are not connected to the young people, we'll have visual or shooting responses when only the choir comes out,
Mhm.
meaning organizations like you who are committed to respond, organizations like Snug, like Aisha Saku, Street Corner Resources. It'll
Absolutely.
be full of conscious people along with the family and friends of the slain. But we're not a true people until what happens in Milwaukee hurts me to somebody in black in Milwaukee. Just like the response to George Floyd. George Floyd struck a nerve. Sandra Bland struck a nerve, and people felt it. However, there's murders going on all throughout the city, and we have become numb and desensitized ties to the number of shootings because we have gotten used to the culture. More on that on another time. You dropped something about reparations.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this: we have to have a united front when it comes to the reparation conversation
Hmm.
because sometimes our politicians would rather take a biscuit or crumbs from the table opposed to represent the true hurt and pain of our ancestors.
Hmm.
The minister said reparatory justice cannot be achieved through cowardice or diplomatic discourse, which is ultimately begging for reparations. When you add up what the number would look like, you just can't talk about lost wages. You have to talk about
Absolutely.
over 150 million, and that's a low estimate, 150 million Africans that did not make it to America because they died in the Middle Passage, either that they jumped ship and let the sharks get them, or what they would do is if there was an order for 800 slaves, they would pack 100, 1,200, knowing that 400 would die,
Right. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
We,
Absolutely.
we, we, we,
We
we,
gotta, we gotta, as Brother Malcolm used to say, make it plain.
Right.
That
So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that reparations should not be a glorified welfare check for Black people because our current state of thinking, we will buy rings, shiny things, cars, rims,
disposal.
diamonds and platinum in the mouth. And in less than 6 months, we will give it back to the white man because our dollars don't circulate.
In our,
So we
yes.
see a picture of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in the background. And he said to us in the Muslim program that our people whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves should be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of our own. And that state should be fertile and minerally rich. In
Mhm.
other words, land is what we need because from land we can build housing. From land
Generational
we
wealth.
can get
Yes.
food, clothing, and shelter from the land. But with this economy, this paperless economy, you saw what happened with the PPP loans. People were getting tens of thousands of dollars, and in less than a year, they're back to square one because we don't have true financial literacy. We like spending beyond our means. So,
Absolutely. One of the things, and I think I support what you're saying, but also we have to look into the situation. We are consumers, the Black Americans, the Brown Americans, we're consumers, but this is a consumer country. But even with the consumers, the white people are consumers too. But even with the consumers, the wealth gap is so huge that the average white family, and this is, quoted from being at the reparations hearing, they may have a nest egg of $1 million, whether they had an education or not. And maybe the average black family, the mean number might be 20,000, if it's that. So there's a huge wealth gap that we're dealing with. And like you said, all of whatever else happened. So we there's not a case for it because we know that there's a case for it. So
Well, let me say this about the wealth gap. If black people in America were a country
mhm.
where there's close to 50 million of us, our GNP, our gross national product combined, would be over damn almost $1.5 trillion.
Okay.
We would be the 16th richest country if we would spend the money
Mhm.
with each other. We could stimulate these small businesses that are popping up, allowing them to grow, and small black businesses will begin to hire black people. But because we are not united, because our dollar doesn't circulate, 99% of our money is spent with Koreans, Europeans, Jews, and Asians.
Mhm.
Caucasians. We don't spend money with each other. Why do you think the Korean opens up a fruit and vegetable stand in the black community? Because they know that black people will not open up a fruit and vegetable stand. Why does an Italian pizza shop in every black community? Why? Because we will not open up. There's a Kentucky Fried Chicken, a Crown Fried Chicken, the Salam's Fried Chicken, and it's owned by everyone except for us.
So
Our
and it
problem.
and it just to interject, having done businesses, a lot of times it also is not being able to get the funding. A
Capital,
lot of
absolutely
times
that. No, 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 no,
funding,
absolutely
the
that.
funding from banks, from redlining, from everything. But one of the things that we see in some of the other communities is they pool their money together and fund. If they can't get it from the bank, they're going to get it from the group and the family and the friends.
And
Work
and and
collectively.
so and so in the Willie Lynch letter,
Hmm.
it talked about one of the ways to keep black people divided is to keep them filled with distrust towards one another.
Okay. Speak.
And so we are feeling the effects of Willie Lynch, and that letter was written in the 1600s, and he declared that this fail-proof plan will last at least 300 years, and we have passed that 300-year mark. See, our people don't know who they are. My point is, how many funerals, Sister Terri, have we gone to
Yes.
where we went to the home and prayed with the parents and they showed us their room and we opened up and we seen a closet full of shearlings and furs and Timberlands and Jordans and jewelry from that we got money.
No, I hear you.
How
We got
much
to be
money do we spend as
as
a community on get high?
right. Spend your
We
money.
got money.
One of the Kwanzaa principles: spend your money wisely in the community. So we
Fuji
have,
Chakalia,
yes, we have to
collective
work
economic. See,
collective
that's our
economic.
problem. So what
Yes.
happens is this. This is what happens. The deliberate attack
Hmm.
to vilify black leadership. Look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you saw what we do as a nation, as a small nation of Islam in comparison to the 50 million black people, we have our own newspaper. We
Hmm.
send we sell tens of thousands of newspapers a
Yes. The
week,
final call. Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Final Call newspaper. We have our own farms and distribution network where we have our own trucks and we send the trucks throughout the various regions and states in the country. We get our garments made where overseas so we can get them at a good price.
Mhm.
We work together well because we are organized. We have to be the example. You don't have to join the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam does not have to be a mass movement. But hell, if we're doing something right, man, let's tie our ropes together and make a better community, make our communities a decent and safe place to live.
I
Our
love that.
problem, this
Very
is our
powerful.
problem, sis.
I hear you.
We
And
want the glory, but we don't want to work and sacrifice for the glory. We want the glory and we want the government to give us our glory. And the government has a part because they take our tax dollars.
absolutely.
However, in the government and what they can do for black people is limited to their budget,
Mm.
right? And so therefore, we got to bite the bullet. And if we said, listen, this is what we're going to do for the next 5 years, each
Mhm.
black family in Harlem, we're
Mhm.
going to put $500 in a account that can't be touched
Mhm.
in for 5 years. And then we're going to come back. Harlem has what? How many, was it 80,000? How many black people in Harlem?
I don't have the percentage because they say
Well,
that it's
let's just say
going down. I
50,000
hear
people
I hear you.
put up $500 in
Hmm.
5 years. We use fiscal discipline. Then we'll say, you know what? We're going to purchase Mark 125. We're going to make that black,
Need to.
right? We're going to get some of that adjoining land that's right next to Columbia University because they're trying to come and take over all of this. We'll
Absolutely.
have money and then we can leverage. Right, we can leverage that money that we've collected to now have that funding. So now, because these young people are brilliant, they have ideas and they make it do what it do, but we got to teach them how to go from hustle to business, hustle to industry,
Very,
hustle
very,
to
very important.
enterprise. They're sharp. And so there's a saying in Islam, old man for counsel, young man for war. We gotta bridge the old and the young.
Okay. Very, very, very important. Very profound. Very prophetic. And this is because addressing the violence, addressing the gun violence, it's a very holistic thing. And all of the things that you spoke on, this is Harlem Network News. I'm Terri Wisdom. I'm here with Minister Arthur Muhammad of Mosque number 7 in Harlem. But all of the things that you spoke of have to do with why there's a violence. Even going back to the Willie Lynch letters, to all of these things, the disparities, the Maafa coming across, all of these things are contributors. And then on our final note, because this is a lot for folks to take in, but it's important. So we can now speak about the impact of the music, which you are coming out of the hip hop world, which initially it was coming from the people, it was uplifting. We can even look at the Motown sound, and it was so much of love and this and that, and, all of those things. But now the music has moved into a violent music, a drill music, a kill music, that, a degradation of women music. It has moved to that. And it's kind of like the people that are doing the music are thinking they're doing the music because that's their experience. But we know even when rap was making its transition, people were writing about the street life when some of them had never even experienced the street life. But that was the trend. So we've got to look at the fact that the music moguls are telling people kind of what to do because it goes back to what sells, and we know that at MTV never had Black music on there at all till it was Michael Jackson that cracked that. So we've got to look at the impact because music is very impressionable on young people. And now in the past 10 years or whatever, we got social media and the games. A lot of these games are games of killing, and so these are things, if you could just speak on that, and we're going to close. And that's not a short conversation, but we're going to touch.
Yes, man. So again, when we talk about culture, right? In culture, you have food, you have clothing. So part of the culture of violence, the clothing is the mask,
Mhm.
right? Part of the culture is carrying a weapon, right? Part of
Mhm.
the culture is the music, right? That's all part of culture. You have indigenous African culture, indigenous Native American culture. So
Mhm.
in this current culture of violence, drill music, which fosters the culture, right?
And listen, elders, drill music, because a lot of people are not familiar. So, just break that down a little bit.
Drill music pretty much are rappers who are disrespecting rappers, threatening rappers in their music, promising retaliation, making fun of people who got murdered. It's a very, and again, it's just an extension of the thinking. The
Mhm.
minister teaches us. He who prescribes the diameter of your thinking controls the circumference of your activity. I'm
Mhm.
saying to you that a wicked, crooked deceiver came in and sowed negative seeds that have grown into concepts and ideas. See, there was one time when black people controlled black radio. But you just can't blame
Like
MTV
me.
and BET. You got to blame Hot 97. You got to blame Power 105 for
Mhm.
making it fashionable to have songs that talked about I spike a girl's drink with ecstasy,
Mhm.
that I did this, that me and my man did this to this girl. And it's over a funky beat, so it sounds so good.
And the beat
But
is intoxicating. So,
correct. And so this has all went to the culture. So what you and I are talking, stop the violence, what I'm talking on Sundays, God, that's countercultural talk because it's a culture of violence. If it were not for the scriptures, that tell us that the first would be last, but the last would be first. If it was not for the scriptures that said that the bottom rail would be for the top, if it was not for the scriptures in the book of Second Chronicles that says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and ask for forgiveness, then will I, hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. If it were not for the scriptures that talk about how God's people would be in such a way, but he would deliver them. In the book of Revelations, it says, come out of her, my people. It's not talking about come out of America, but come out of her culture of violence, come out of her ways, come out of her customs, so that you don't receive the same plagues that Babylon, which is America.
yeah, we're here.
So,
Yeah,
so,
here.
so I'm saying to you is that I'm going to be a soldier with my boots on the ground to the day that I die, but I want to be in that number to see the saints go marching in. Black people are God by nature, are righteous by nature. And if we say the right words with the right spirit at the right time, then we can allow that light to go off in the mind because a crooked, wicked deceiver has come and extinguished that light of possibilities. So when
Yes.
I see my brother, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that whenever I see a black man or a black woman, I'm looking at God. So I don't see a little thug. I don't see a little killer. I see a little God. The scripture says that we were born in the image or created in the image and after the likeness of God. That's what I see. And that's why I'm not afraid of young people. I see a reflection of myself.
Okay, I love it, and that's a great note to stop on and to understand, and for us to continue, as you said, to see the reflection of ourselves in these young people. We cannot be afraid of our young people. We really have to stand up as the elders and as those that have gone through quite a journey, quite a life journey that some of them don't know and don't understand. And as you said, they are being targeted because even, a lot of the quote educated, just came out of college, know this, got this job, got the other, but they're still listening to this drill music. And they're saying to you, when you talk to them about it, they'll say, well, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm listening to it, but there's an alternate message or there's a something, something, something. But it is that their mind has just been penetrated, so that's what we have to do. So, final words for you, Honorable Minister, just what you'd like to leave the people with, and also let them know how they can get in touch with you. Thank
I'm
you.
striving to be honorable, but I represent an honorable man in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I just want my brothers and sisters of Harlem, New York, that whenever you can, come on to Muhammad Mosque number 7, which is located on 106-08 West 127th Street. Some of you have walked by the mosque and may have asked yourself, would I be welcome coming in? What do I wear? Come as yourself, come with an open heart and hear a message. I know it changed my life. And I was about, pretty much about the life that the average young person was in. So if it was weapons, if it was alcohol, if it was womanizer, and it changed my thinking. None of us drift down from heaven. We all raised from the hell. We all raised from the belly of the beast. I thank you. Looking forward to being with you again. Looking forward to seeing you. And you know that my phone number is open to you at any time, Sister Terri. Thank you for the good work that you do. We need more people committed to the cause like you. See, there's a lot of people who struggle, and their struggle is so overwhelming and daunting, it does not give them time for the struggle. See, you're involved in the struggle, and I know you have personal struggles if we're living in America. So
Absolutely.
keep the
Absolutely.
fight, my sister.
Yes.
Blessings to
I,
you.
I, I stand, and I've been in the struggle for a long time, since my teen years, and attending Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. One of my upperclassmen, Gil Scott Heron, the revolution will not be televised, it will be live,
Yes, ma'am.
all of those things. So I come out of that. I come out of that journey. I come out of the journey of having been bused during the civil rights time. So I understand that too. So I'm grateful to having had a great understanding. And just even in terms of losing my son, which I will say his name because we must, and his name
Please.
was Ali Sam Wayman Wisdom,
Mm,
music name Columbo the Shining Star, and really named for Muhammad Ali.
mm,
His
mm,
father
mm.
was a big fan of Muhammad
Right.
Ali, and so he was Ali. And so we have to look at that. But even out of that, that pushes me to do the work because I have an obligation. And, I come out of media journalism school, worked at all of the networks. So I understand and I know what it is. And I understand just having in my college years at Fordham University, understanding there's a book, Marshall McLuhan, is the media the message or the message the media? And nothing could be more true than that. So we have to collectively support Black media, support the advertising of Black media. Don't be afraid of it. And there is a upscale to this technical revolution that we're in because it's allowing us to get on Zoom. It's allowing us to do things that we wouldn't have been able to do because we wouldn't have had the economics, but we still have to get it out there. So
You,
support Harlem
yeah.
Networks. Thank
Sister, just to bear witness about that there are some advantages to this digital age.
Hmm.
Here it is, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is 93 years old, and I was
Absolutely.
blessed to be at his birth celebration.
Amen. Ashe, all of those things.
But
Yes.
this is what I wanted to say. Because he has been on the battlefront since the 50s, he
Hmm.
has thousands of speeches that are on the internet. And
Hmm.
all you have to do is just Google Minister Farrakhan, and you will see hundreds of selections for you to go through. And when you look at the views and the likes on the selections, they go into the hundreds of thousands, yea, even into the millions. So,
Absolutely.
because of social media, these messages are archived. So, you have people coming to the mosque not from an invitation from a brother, but because they heard a message on YouTube and they went on our website, www.noinewyork.org, found out where the mosque was, and came because I've been listening to Minister
Yeah,
Farrakhan
very,
online.
very,
So
very powerful. And on that note, I just want to say there are a couple of moments in time, and one big moment in time was that Million Man March, where millions of brothers came, and some sisters hung back. I was in DC at the time, but I didn't step onto that march because it was the March for Our Men. And also, then we had the Million Women March, which I absolutely documented and
beautiful.
will put out there. So these are some powerful moments when we came to time to acknowledge, but now, as you said, you got to put the work in. But we
Yes, ma'am.
can come together. We
Yes,
can.
ma'am.
We can
Yes,
do
ma'am.
that. So thank you so much and
Thank you so much.
support
You
Harlem
stay
Network
strong.
News. You can reach us directly at 646-261-5397. HarlemNetworkNews.org will be up soon. We are revamping our website. And also, we're on all social media, Instagram, all of those. Hit us up and donate. It's through Zelle or Cash App. Those are the straight ones that we're doing, and it's all under Harlem Network News. So thank you very, very much. We matter. You matter. Black media matters. So let's go. We got this. Thank you, Honorable, and I will say Honorable Minister Arthur. I love the work that you're doing, and
Thank you, Queen.
let's go. So
Thank you.
have a great day. All
You
right.
too.
All right,
Blessings.
people, you have your marching orders. So let's do this. Thank you.